Hey guys, Navarre here. I survived this. I also survived that. And I survived that too. Today I'll be showing you how to land without a wing or tail control. So let's get started. The first step is identifying whether the situation is recoverable. Don't bail out too early after getting damaged. Try to stabilize the plane first. Losing the tail or wing at extremely low speed will usually result in an irrecoverable dive or spin, while the same situation with engine damage means you're often too far away from base to make it home. If you're diving with a missing wing, you're probably dead, but that's not guaranteed. Let's check our first example. I'm in the P-38L and I lose the tailplane to a bomber at the start of the match. I have no other missing parts, so my control surfaces are intact except for the elevator, and I don't have to deal with the plane wanting to roll into a flat spin because the wing damage is symmetrical. The situation may not be optimal, but I can still save it. First, I throttle down. This is because I can extend the flaps to increase my lift and make the wings want to pitch up, but only up to 510 km an hour IAS. Therefore, I slow down to the 400 range and extend the flaps, which makes my plane want to pitch up more. I then throttle up to maintain speed and get the bird pointed towards the airstrip. Notice that I'm rolling around. You don't want to roll upside down in most planes because at higher speeds the roll compresses and the nose will drop towards the ground too quickly while the aircraft is inverted, leading to a dive that is difficult to recover because you will become too fast to safely deploy your flaps. In this case I can get away with it because the P-38 can do a 360-degree roll in 3 seconds. I also have an air brake and I can lower my throttle if I need to slow down back into the 510 safe zone where I can deploy my flaps and my nose will pitch up by itself. So rolling upside down is a great choice for me to dip the nose here. But if you were in a different plane, what you would want to do is bobble side to side like this. And bobbling side to side, once your wings are no longer level with the horizon, the plane will sort of slip downwards and the nose will slip down. So you can maintain a rough sort of glide slope back towards your airstrip. The plane wants to pitch up too much, which if left unattended would lead to a nose up and a full stall from which the plane would nosedive towards the ground. In a no tail control situation, your job is to find the speed where your aircraft wants to nose up in a controllable way and stick to that speed range. Your throttle becomes your pitch control and your ailerons steer you where you want to go. With the base in reach, the trickiest part is landing. You'll want to drop throttle and extend flaps, trying to find the Goldilocks zone where the nose stays roughly level. I'm waggling my wings to keep it low, because if I overshoot it will take too much time to come back around. And I cut throttle so I'm slow enough to skid down on the runway. With no way to pitch down without blowing myself up, I have to make the plane lose altitude while in a nose-up position. So I'm dipping a little bit low here, and the nose will come up level with the horizon in the second once I extend a little bit more flaps and let it raise. So I'm drifting down to the runway here. The nose is coming up and I chop my throttle, and that will allow me to settle gently down to the ground, because if I dig my plane into the ground I may not be able to pull up in time and I could just crash and explode. I then come back to win it from a 1 versus 7 position, but if you want to check that game, I have it in my previous video, which is linked in the description. Definitely check it out because it's a good one. Anyway, time for the next example. I'm in the LA-7 when I take a bad head-on with a Spitfire and get engine damaged. After trying to dive out, he'll blow my wing off and then he'll leave me alone, satisfied that I'm gonna die. And most pilots would. So, give it a second here, he shoots, pop, off comes the wing, and most pilots would either bail out or give up here because it's pretty difficult to pull up without forcing yourself into a flat spin. And with a missing wing, maintaining control with small inputs is the critical thing to go. Because if you imbalance the controls too much, if I would slam on the rudder in the opposite direction from my intact wing, if I would do anything too big, even if I would just point the mouse cursor straight, it might just fall straight down. So I reduce my throttle to keep my wings from ripping off since I am in an LA-7. And I'm molding in the chat, miss a pot shot on an AI, and at this point I thought that it was Joe over. But I throttled up just in case, and watch my mouse cursor is pointing off sides opposite of the missing wing towards my intact wing. And this is because I need to maintain enough lift to keep the plane in the air, but I also need that wing to be roughly level with the horizon. So my nose has now crept up above the horizon line, and with my wing level with the horizon, I will produce the optimal lift without sliding sideways, because when you have the wings off level with the horizon, the plane will want to slip downwards and you will lose altitude even if the nose is level with the horizon. So you keep that wing as flat as possible, keep your power maximized, because you need to keep your speed up. So once you've stabilized the plane to where the mouse cursor and the nose are stable with each other and you're above the horizon and not in immediate danger of dying, keep tapping the roll key to keep the plane level. So I'm going to try to get it onto a stable heading. I check my mini-map to see where my airfield is, and I'm not going to try to go for the small airfield for a couple of reasons. I would have to turn very far to my right, and then I would have to suddenly turn left again. So it is relatively safe to turn into the direction of my intact wing, but if I turn too suddenly into the direction of my missing wing, then the plane can come off balance and it will lose control and flat spin, even though I currently have it in a stable heading. So turning into that direction is definitely risky. So when I move into the left, I will make small control inputs, not large ones. So I'm continuously tapping the D key to keep it roughly level, and I begin to plan my landing as I head past the small base. Now, here's a quick note to keep in mind. If you land from behind your own airfield, facing the battlefield, with no landing gear, you will explode and die. It's detailed in another video on YouTube, which I will search up and link in the description. But essentially, the hitboxes are off on the airfield, and you can only safely belly land from one direction, which is towards the edge of the map. So now I begin slowly nudging it towards my own airfield, and my altitude control is not so much my cursor as it is my throttle. And here's the reason. I want to keep my nose at or above the horizon line at all times, because if I have to pitch up suddenly, that is another thing that could make me lose control of the plane and head into a flat spin. Generally speaking, the faster I'm going, the more stable I will be, so I'm maintaining as high of a speed as possible coming into the runway, or at least as high as a speed as I can, and still not overrun the end. So I cut my throttle, which is going to make me lose altitude without having to pitch down, and then I'm going to touch down as early as I'm comfortable with, and then I'm going to slide to a stop on the runway, and I will be able to safely repair. So that's how I bring planes home without a wing, without a tail control, if it's at all feasible. So I hope you enjoyed it. That's all for today. I've linked my Discord server in the description so you can join my small community. So have fun, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.